Tony also knows boxing. You're tuning into Tony also knows boxing. Check out my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Click that like button. Don't be afraid to click that like button and subscribe to my channel and follow my content. Tonight we're gonna have a very entertaining, very grueling fight. Who cares if that felt? Tonight we're gonna have a very grueling fight, a very entertaining fight, and equally matched on paper fight. Well, technically, because if you look at David Morell's record, he has 11. I had some technical difficulties. My charger fell on the floor, but I'm back. Ain't nothing that can stop me. Tony also knows boxing. You know how we do. Subscribe to my channel, all my beautiful fans and my ugly fans. I'm just kidding. I got love for everybody. It don't matter who it is, man. As long as you support me, no problems. And I just want to let everybody know that tonight's fight with David Benavidez versus David Morell, it's a battle of attrition. There's different variables in each fighter's style. Who do you think is going to win the fight? This is a very intriguing fight and a very competitive fight on paper, as far as like ability and skill wise, and as far as his pedigree. David Morell, as far as the amateurs, how many fights does he have? Does anybody know how many fights did David Morell have in the amateurs? I know he has an extensive amateur career. A lot of those boxers from Cuba do have great boxing, amateur boxing experience, and a lot of times their styles are more suited for the amateurs than the pros. But in this case, with David Morell, I feel like a lot of the Cuban fighters, their boxing careers are pushed really fast. They're like, he only has 11 fights and 9 KOs. And, a lot of times fighters with 11 and 0 and 9 KO records, in America, they actually have to develop and fight at least 20 fights before they go for the championship, or 21 fights. But I feel like the reason why this is happening is because they pushed him pretty fast, David Morell, and they believe that this is his time right now. If he doesn't take advantage of it right now, he might not get another opportunity like this in a while, because a lot of people don't, like, only hardcore boxing fans know who David Morell is, and I feel like he should be known to the masses. But the way boxing is right now, like, it takes a while for like certain fighters to be promoted, and in the case of David Morell, he's been promoted well, but he hasn't been promoted in a way where he can reach the every fan, like, not that's not into boxing could follow him. Like, he hasn't reached that status, and I feel like a little bit more better boxing promotion would have been good for him to actually get notoriety, like, in a worldwide level. But I feel like this is the opportunity that he's taking advantage of with David Benavidez, because David Benavidez is more popular, more established, and has fought the better fighters. He's fought Caleb Plant. He's fought Andre Durrell. He's fought what's his name? DeAndre. You know who he fought as well? DeAndre. He fought DeAndre, which was good. He was a good fighter. He was coming at for 154, but he moved up in weight to fight David Benavidez. But the reason why he took that fight is because based on his record, as far as like his boxing ability, he was known as being a really good boxer. The Canelo actually refused to fight him, so I feel like that was the best possible opponent for David Benavidez. Yep. So I feel like it's a good fight. It's a good fight for this fight right here is a good fight for David Benavidez to prove that he can deal with a boxer. Because a lot of times, when David Benavidez fights, he goes forward a lot. He has a high guard, but he doesn't really show a lot of footwork, foot movement. But he does have a lot of skills, underrated skills. He has a high guard, and he throws a volume of punches. Volume of punches. The difference between David Benavidez' style and David Morell's style is that David Morell doesn't throw the volume of punches, but he throws a lot of jabs and a lot of counters. He has a lot of power. I think he has more power than David Benavidez. He's not a volume puncher like David Benavidez, David Morell, but he is a slick boxer with boxing skills. He has a lot of good footwork, and it could give problems to David Benavidez if David Benavidez is not up to the challenge. But I truly feel that David Benavidez has underrated skills, and I feel like his skills he's going to show what he's made of in this fight tonight with David Morell. And the reason why I say that David Benavidez doesn't have as much power as David Morell is because when you see David Morell, the way he fights and the combinations that he throws, when he lands, it seems like the impact of his combinations, it seems like a one punch impact, like knockout. Like whenever he hurts his opponents, like whenever he catches them with speed, but it's more on the powerful end than the speed end. I feel like David Morell, when he lands and he hits somebody clean, he could really knock that person down or out. It's like he has that one punch KO. You know, a lot of Cuban fighters have it. A lot of Puerto Rican fighters have it. I never seen a Mexican American with one punch power. I haven't seen it. Like I seen them have volume power. Like David Benavidez has volume, determination power. I talked about this in a previous video, and I feel like that should be enough to overwhelm David Morell. The volume, determination, power of David Benavidez should be enough to overwhelm David Morell if he overwhelms David Morell because I never seen David Morell in a fight where he's fighting somebody equally as talented as him, like David Benavidez, um, equally skilled in different various forms. Because if you look at David Benavidez, he does have skills. He knows how to time the opponent, and he did it really good with Caleb Plant. He just waited a little too well. I don't think he waited a little too much with Caleb Plant. I think the referee got in the way, and if the referee would have not gotten in the way so much, I think he would have stopped Caleb Plant. But I think Caleb Plant is a really good fighter. He has great boxing skills. He doesn't have the hardest punch, but uh, those kind of fighters, like prepared David Benavidez to this point right now. Because if you look at Caleb Plant has skills. He doesn't have the power that David Morell is going to bring to the table, and that's a big difference. Like yes, he knows how to deal with boxing, but he has to be able to cut the ring a little bit more. And if David Morell could use the ring, and he can box and stay at a distance and throw the jab and set up David Benavidez as he's coming in, he could win the fight. But it's how he's going to do it is what determines if he's going to win or not. If he can establish dominance early, I feel like if he's going to win the fight, David Morell, he has to establish the jab and establish dominance early in the fight. And I don't know how his stamina is. He's been the distance 2 times, and against the opposition that he's been against. But going the distance with David Benavidez, who doesn't seem to get tired as the fight goes on, and he throws a lot of combinations. He reminds me of Subriel Matias. He throws a lot of combinations and doesn't get tired. And I think he's very relentless. David Benavidez he's my favorite fighter right now. He's between David Benavidez, Subriel Matias, and right now those are my 2 favorite fighters. And Keyshawn Davis, he's one of my favorites as well. I like Xander Zayas, but I need to see more from Xander Zayas. But I think the keys to victory for David Benavidez would be to establish the distance and his comfort level where he's going to dominate the fight. I think that he has long hands, long reach, but I believe that David Morell has a longer reach than him. So it's more to his advantage, David Morell, to stay at a distance and measure his combinations by throwing a jab as a stick, and then determine what combinations like he's gonna throw after the jab to look at the openings. But it's gonna be hard to actually fight at the pace that David Benavidez fights, and we're gonna see how much skill and patience and ring generalship David Morell will have against a style like David Benavidez, because David Benavidez, he throws a lot of combinations against the fighters that he's fought. Caleb Plant, all the fighters that he's fought. What's going on, my brother? Thanks for tuning in, Shabbat Hall. Thanks for tuning in. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Shabbat Hall. One love, my brother. He said, what's up, Tony? I'm late, but who you got? It's a really tough competitive fight. If you have to push my back against the wall based on experience, I got David Benavidez winning by split decision. That's how I have it. But if he knocks out David Morell, I would be extremely impressed. I would be extremely impressed if he knocks him out. But I don't think he's going to knock out David Morell. I think David Morell's the truth. And if he does knock out David Morell, that's a plus. And that's a chink in his armor that he could actually, use as bragging rights. Like, look, I knocked out David Morell. These two fighters have been avoided by Canelo. Yeah. Shabbat Hall. I appreciate it, man. I didn't want to butcher your name. You got it right. Yeah, I appreciate it. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Shabbat Hall. Got nothing but love and respect for you. So who you got in this fight? I told you who I picked. I picked David Benavidez. Some people picked him by seven. Oh, you know who picked him by 7-round knockout? This guy. What's his name? Fernando Vargas. The little hater, Fernando Vargas, can't accept that he got knocked out by Felix Tito Trinidad, and he got bad memories, and he needs to be reminded of how powerful Tito Trinidad is. And Tito Trinidad never used any plaster in his hands. Everything was legit. They signed it. Nevada Commission, they agreed with the way he wrapped his hands. But that's another story. But Fernando Vargas says that David Benavidez is gonna win by 7-round knockout. That's what Fernando Vargas said in the interview. Okay, man. Respect to you, man. He's no joke, man. Morell is the truth. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Morell upset David Benavidez. Like, is that much of a competitive fight? Shabbat Hall says that I'm going for Morell. Hey, Morell is a real live dog. I'm not sleeping on the Cuban guy. That is a fight that Canelo avoided, David Benavidez and Morell. And he got the nerve to actually talk about who he thinks is going to win the fight, which he says that David Benavidez is going to lose because he's just mad because David Benavidez called him out for the past 3 years. Like, ducking him. Been ducking David Benavidez for the past 3 years, Canelo. And you got the nerve to talk about two fighters that you're not willing to get in the ring with? You a sucker. Canelo, I'm not hating on Canelo. It's just the truth. Like, why are you avoiding another Mexican to win the fight against you? Like, you don't want to pass the torch. You selfish, man. You selfish. And you know you can't beat him. But it's business. He's a businessman. He's not a real, willing to take all challenges. Canelo's not willing to take all challenges. Palanga and Jaime Munguia and this other guy, Charlo, they had to go up 2 weight classes. Come on, man. Can't take you serious, Canelo. Yeah, man. No, Shabbat Hall. No, Felix Tito Trinidad is a legitimate, powerful guy. He wasn't cheating. This guy, Fernando Vargas, is a sore loser. He wants to blame Felix Trinidad, saying that he used illegal plaster when he didn't. He was never, he was never they never accused him of any of that. They never found any proof of that. And that the way he wrapped his gloves, it was only illegal to do it in New York like that, but it wasn't illegal to do it everywhere else. That's why they did that. That's why Bernal Hopkins did that, because he wasn't allowed to wrap his gloves to protect his knuckles. He was allowed anywhere else in Las Vegas, any other boxing arena. Felix Tito Trinidad was allowed to wrap his gloves the way he did to protect his knuckles because he was a powerful hitter. So he did that. but they didn't allow that in New York. That was the only place they didn't allow it. Oh yeah, Vargas. You say Vargas was a cheater? Nah, Vargas was a cheater. All right, could you please elaborate on that? I don't. I used to have respect for Vargas, but ever since he criticized Trinidad for something that he never did, when he fought him legally and he knocked him out legally and he beat his ass legally. So for him to come out and say that, like after all these years, he's still traumatized by the power that Tito Trinidad has and the way Tito Trinidad destroyed him. And Tito Trinidad was like he said in the interview that everything was approved by the commission, that they kept going in the room and they kept signing that his glove, that everything, the way he wrapped his hands was legitimate and it was legal. So there's no excuse for Fernando Vargas. And then Felix Tito Trinidad was saying that, oh, he wants to feel my punch again. So tell him to sign the contract so he can feel my punch again. So he could to remind them that the punch is real, that my power is real. There's nothing fake about it. You're just a sore loser, Fernando Vargas. I had so much respect for Fernando Vargas back in the day because the way he grew up and the way he fought and the way he was willing to fight everybody, but in the way he went out on his shield. But for him to come out years later still having like a grudge against Felix Tito Trinidad because he just can't accept the fact that Puerto Rican boxers are better than Mexican fighters. Mexican fighters have talent, don't get me wrong. But when you put the best Mexican against the best Puerto Rican, usually the best Puerto Rican wins. And the thing about the difference between Puerto Ricans and Mexicans is that Mexicans have a strong will and Puerto Ricans do too. But usually Mexicans, like 95% of them or 98% of them have a strong will. And they're usually straightforward, never give up, keep going forward. They have determination power, but they don't have one punch power. Mexicans don't have that one punch power. I never seen a Mexican that had one punch power. But Puerto Ricans, when it comes to Puerto Ricans, I say 70% of us have determination and we never give up. And 30% of us have a weak chin. But most Puerto Ricans, if they have a weak chin or they have a strong chin, they usually have one punch power, brutal one punch power, or they have boxing ability. So let's say if a Puerto Rican boxer has no chin, but he has boxing ability and he's able to keep his chin tucked, he can win the fight and dominate. But if he gets caught real clean by the Mexican, he'll get knocked out. So it's like a 30% chance that could happen. But if a Puerto Rican has a chin, which is 70% of the time, I think, or 75% of the time that a Puerto Rican has a chin, and 25% of the time that he doesn't have a chin. So if a Puerto Rican boxer has a chin and he has power and boxing skills, oh, it's a wrap for a Mexican. Because Puerto Ricans, they are very athletic and they're very versatile in their approach of fighting style. Because of our DNA, we have African blood, we have Indian blood, and we have Spanish blood. So we have that athletic, nature in us, a lot of us. And Mexicans are mostly like Indian and Spanish. So they have that determination. They can keep going forward, and you hit them and it won't affect them like 98% of the time. But if you get a fighter that's Puerto Rican that has 75% of the Puerto Ricans that have a chin and they have determination, if you get a fighter that's Puerto Rican that can box and can punch, he's a nightmare for the Mexican. And usually that's what happens. The only times that the Mexican beats the Puerto Rican is when the Puerto Rican has no chin and he has power, but he has a chance to win, though, 50-50 chance if he has that power, that one punch power. That's what the Puerto Rican usually has. Mexican Americans or Mexican, I haven't seen a Mexican with one punch power. I've seen him with determination power, cumulative effect, like a lot of combinations, but I've never seen the one punch power like the way the Puerto Ricans have. It's like a gift. It's a natural thing the Puerto Ricans have. So if you put a Puerto Rican versus a Mexican, that a Puerto Rican has a chin, determination, boxing skills, and power, which is usually what happens, they would win. All right, let me read what Shabbat Hall says. He said, Vargas was a cheater. He tested positive for 2 banned substances after the De La Hoya fight. Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. Yeah, he's a cheater. Yeah, he's a cheater. but he wants to talk about other people, but he don't want to focus on himself. Yeah, he wants to blame Felix Trinidad butt whooping on him cheating when he didn't cheat. Fernando Vargas, man, he's a poor excuse for a man. No offense to any Mexicans, but the real ones are all short. Yeah, a lot of Mexicans they are short. I'm not gonna say that I'm not saying all of them are short. There's some that are tall too, but yeah, a lot of Mexicans are short. But yeah, the real ones, like the indigenous ones, they're short. They're tough. They're tough as nails, though. I give them credit for their determination, their will, the never giving up, and there's usually 98% of them are like that. They just naturally in their DNA, they just don't give up. But they don't have boxing skills. Like they have just one way to fight. Most of them. Not saying all of them. I'm not saying all of them because there's Mexican American style. They do box like De La Hoya, but for the most part, Mexicans in their DNA, they're not the most athletic when it comes to like moving their legs, footwork. They usually have strong will, strong chin, and determination, power. They don't have one punch power. Like I will possibly taking steroids, but he got me more. It's crazy how David B talks about Morell possibly taking steroids, but he got Mimo Heredia on his side. You already spoke about the undercard. Nah, I didn't speak about the undercard. The undercard is gonna be okay. It's Pitbull Cruz. I forgot who he's fighting, but he's fighting another Mexican, and there's bad blood between them. Like in the press conference, they stared each other down like they wanted to freaking kiss each other. They were that close, and they were about to smack each other right there, face to face. Like I don't know. It's just I feel like bravado. It's just a bravado thing. And who else? There's Rosario. Rosario is gonna fight. It's the Dominican guy. He's gonna fight. Rosario's gonna fight, and it's gonna be a rematch. A rematch with Figueroa and Fulton, part 2. I know Figueroa in the first fight. Figueroa knocked out Fulton, and Fulton in part 2, he's trying to get his rematch. Like he was boxing good, but he got caught with the Figueroa in the first fight. Fulton, that's the Fulton versus Figueroa. I think Omar Figueroa versus Fulton. So that's a rematch. I don't know if you saw that fight. And Pitbull Cruz is gonna fight another Mexican, which is there's a lot of bad blood between them. And there's a lot of bad blood between David Morell and David Benavidez. Look, say whatever you want about David Benavidez, that he did cocaine back then, but he's overcome that, and he did that when he was not responsible in his career, but he's been very responsible and very on point and very consistent in his career until now, and he has not been doing anything like that. So I just feel like, yeah, Ramos, yes, Rosario versus Ramos, and Ramos, I think Ramos lost to what's his name? The one from Florida. He lost to the one from Florida. I forgot his name. The boxer. The Hammer. They call him the Hammer. Can you help me with it? The Hammer was his nickname. And he beat Ramos Jr., but I think Ramos Jr. should have won that fight. I saw that fight, and I think Ramos Jr. was robbed. Fulton won the first fight? No. Fulton lost the first fight with Omar Figueroa. And this is a rematch. Fulton is trying to get his redemption in this fight. It's the undercard. Undercard got 13 fights. I don't know all the fights on the undercard, but I know the ones that stick out. Those are the ones that I mentioned. But I think David Benavidez, despite not having the one-punch power. Oh, Lubin. Yeah, Lubin. Yeah, Lubin Lubin fought Ramos. They gave the decision to Lubin, but I think Ramos won the fight. They gave him the fight because he had the name, and I think that Ramos did enough to win the fight. But everybody has their Erickson Lubin. Yeah, no, he's Erickson Lubin. Oh wait, Erickson Lubin. The prelims on now. He's fighting now. I'm gonna have to stop this video, but thanks for telling me, Shabbat Hall. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to that channel. I think David Benavidez is the truth, man. He's a monster. There's nobody Like right now, there's nobody really like him. The only I wish there was a Puerto Rican fighter like David Benavidez right now. I think the one that's like David Benavidez right now is Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias is no joke. I give him credit. I just want David Benavidez, Subriel Matias to become champion again, which he's gonna fight March 1st against another Mexican, Valenzuela, and then that's gonna be for a title, number one uh, contender for title eliminator. That's going to be March 1st, Subriel Matias. That's the latest news that I found out. But yeah, David Benavidez to me is a problem. Like he's seriously focused. Um, I've never seen a fighter like that determined like him in a long time since Felix Tito Trinidad. And I'm not saying that David Benavidez is like Felix Tito Trinidad, but he gives me that aura of like invincibility. Like you can't stop him. Like the way Felix Trinidad gave me, but that one punch power that Felix Tito Trinidad had was insane. That is because, like I said, usually Puerto Rican boxers, African Americans, we either have a lot of power or a lot of boxing skills, and we have a strong will. But sometimes Puerto Rican fighters, African Americans, they don't have a strong chin, like maybe 30% of us. I say around there. But then the rest of us have like it's like 75% or 70% of us do have a strong will, strong chin, etc., and boxing ability and power, or vice versa. It just depends. It comes in different form. Oh, that's a good one. Shabbat Hall. I want Matias to get trained by Ronnie Shield. No, Ronnie Shield is a really, really good boxer. I mean, he understands enough English to receive instruction from him. Um, but I think Subriel Matias probably feels comfortable speaking Spanish with a trainer because that's the language. That's his first language as a Puerto Rican. That he's going to be able to acclimate and to the instructions of the fighter that's actually speaking the language that he speaks. And he could probably have another trainer interject Ronnie Shields, but that's more money going to the trainer. But that's a good that's a good one, man. That would be a good trainer, Ronnie Shield. I feel like it would be a language barrier in some instances, maybe. Maybe the chemistry he would need more to understand exactly the instructions specifically, detail by detail. Because the language barriers, it could also impede how much information he'll gather. Like he speaks, a little bit of English. He don't speak it like a lot, so maybe he might be able to understand enough of what Ronnie Shields could tell him. And then what's the other thing? Shabbat Hall, my man Shabbat Hall said, Inouye beat Fulton, and nah, just the prelims are on. Okay, so the prelims are on, but no Lubin, right? No Lubin, my man. Shabbat Hall, man. Appreciate you tuning in, man. Subscribe to that channel. Click that like button. I appreciate everybody tuning in. But what round do you see? You say David Morell's gonna beat David Benavidez. In what round do you see that happening? In what round? Come on, give me some feedback. Come on. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. Come on, man. Give me some feedback. Shabbat Hall. In what round do you see? How do you see David Morell winning? What round? By stoppage or what round? And I feel like there's different intangibles, and I feel that David Benavidez has enough experience to get him through in this fight, and he's been in a lot of competitive fights. He's been in a lot of competitive, elite status type of fights. So I feel like he'll do enough to get the victory, and I'm really looking forward to this fight because I never seen David Benavidez go back. I never seen anybody push him back, and I feel like if there's anybody that's going to be able to push him back, is David Morell will be possibly can probably push him back, but that remains to be seen because David Morell looks strong, physically strong. He has a long reach. He has good footwork, good boxing ability, good boxing pedigree. A lot of the Cubans do, and he has that one punch power. It's serious. One punch power with boxing ability, that is very dangerous. And I feel like as a Mexican American, David Benavidez, I feel like that could be a struggle for him. The boxing ability with the power, one punch power. But I think David Benavidez he's got a strong chin. Never seen him get hit by somebody like David Morell, but he has a strong chin and he has a strong will and he throws volume of combination. And if he throws enough volume of combinations, he can actually stop David Morell. I'm not saying that he will, but I'm just saying that it's an accumulative effect with Mexican Americans. It's usually an accumulative effect when it comes to the kind of power that they have is like determination power. And I feel like it's a great style of to mesh together. Like David Morell with his one punch KO power, footwork, foot movement, boxing ability, bobbing and weaving, throwing the jab, fighting at a distance, and one punch KO power. That is a lethal combination. So I feel like this fight is on paper based on their attributes. And David Benavidez, relentless high guard defense. He has good defense. He doesn't get credit for it, but he doesn't. I've never seen him fight going back as much, but he hasn't had to. And I feel like that combination together is a big storm. And I just want to see who's going to prevail in this storm. Who's going to come up with their head rising? Like the way King Kong came when he was fighting Godzilla, and they were in the water. The one that survived in the water was King Kong. He was the last one standing and swimming back home. So as I feel like that's how it might turn out to be with David Benavidez and David Morell. All right, Shabbat Hall. I've been subscribed. I got Morell knocking him out between 8 to 10 rounds. Ooh, bringing that fire prediction. Oh, he got Shabbat Hall says I've been subscribed. Thanks, I appreciate that. I got Morell knocking him out between 8 to 10. This fight has me nervous because I don't know. It's a 50-50 fight. But then again, I look at David Benavidez, what he's accomplished and what he's overcome and his relentless style. He's my favorite fighter. I think he has enough to win, but, I wouldn't be surprised if David Morell won because the style that he has, the one-punch combination, the boxing ability, the legs, the footwork, and the jab, that's a potent weapon against somebody like David Benavidez. But I'm not going to sleep on either fighter. I think David Benavidez has enough to win the fight. And if David Benavidez wins by KO, that's a plus, and that's something to put under his belt. Like, yes, look who I knocked out. The guy that nobody wanted to fight, nobody wanted to call out, and I called him out with 11 fights and 9 KOs. And Canelo wasn't willing to fight him either. He's not willing to fight either one, David Morell or David Benavidez. So you got to give David Benavidez a lot of credit for taking this fight because it shows what kind of dog he is. Because to fight a dangerous guy like that Cuban guy, David Morell, nobody wants to fight him, and he didn't even have to fight him, but he chose to fight him because he felt like like nobody else wants to step up to the plate. Canelo don't want to step up to the plate, so this is the most competitive fight that you could possibly get right now at 175. Morell can move. Yeah, you're right. I don't disagree with you, Shabbat Hall. You're 100% right. Morell can move better. David Benavidez just comes forward. Morell got them angles. Yes, that's true. But a lot of people are sleeping on David Benavidez' boxing defense. And the way he boxes great going forward. But I never seen him box going backwards. And that's the thing. What you just mentioned, coming forward. I think David Morell has the strong possibility to push him back because he has the boxing ability, he has the power, he has the longer reach slightly, and the jab. And that's what makes this fight so intriguing. So if David Benavidez wins this fight, in spite of all the things that we just mentioned about he's the better mover, David Morell, then I want you to come on my channel and give me my props. But if not, I'm gonna give you your props. This is all fun. Making predictions. We're gonna go for whoever we want to go for based on what we understand and the knowledge we have on boxing. And that's a great point, Shabbat. That's a great point. I'm not disputing that, but I feel like this fight, I wouldn't be surprised if David Morell won, but I'm banking on David Benavidez, who he's fought up to now, and what he's able to sustain. with the fighters that he's faced. And another thing, the way he's been able to have good defense going forward and the relentless combination that he doesn't get tired, and he has underrated defense. That's why I favor him slightly for David Morell. But yeah, subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Enjoy the fight. I'm gonna watch the prelims. But you have a great day, Shabbat Hall. I can't even imagine Benavidez fighting on the back foot. We're gonna see tonight, man. That's what makes boxing so interesting. We don't know until we see them in the ring. We find out how good Benavidez is, or how good he wasn't, or if we overrated him, or if he's deserving of what his reputation of what people say about David Benavidez. We're gonna find out everything about both fighters, Morell and Benavidez. I got you if he wins. I just clicked the notification bell. I appreciate you, brother. So you just subscribed, right? I appreciate you, my brother. Have a great day. Enjoy the fights. And subscribe to my channel. Keep the algorithms coming. Channel's doing good. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. I'm getting close to my goal. And I just appreciate all the fans that keep tuning in, the live commentary, everything. I do this for you guys. You know, Tony also knows boxing, keeps it real. One love. Check out the fights tonight and enjoy it. Be safe, Tony. I'll be here more often. One love. God bless you, man. All right, definitely. Enjoy the fights. One love.